All right, so let's go ahead and take you through some of the dailies we've got for you here today. And we start with The Guardian. Businesses groan as Labour grounds economic activities is the big lead on the front page of The Guardian newspaper here today. And here you've got images across different parts of the country, how they reflect what is going on or what transpired yesterday, which also likely continue. So look at Vanguard as well. Labour shuts Nigeria as wage talks resume today. So that is their own version. Soldiers bar journalists from OSGF as Akume meets Labour. FG asks Labour to return to negotiations. Tinubu, Akpabio, Abbas meet in Aso Rock. Army dismisses NLC's allegation on surrounding meeting venue. Blackout looms as workers shut down power sector. That's a few of the riders here today. But if you take a look at Nigerian News Direct, also Labour strike, FG commits to minimum wage over 60,000 naira. Tripartite committee to meet daily to determine new wage. Nationwide blackout as Labour shuts down national grid. Maritime workers strike paralyzes seaports operations. Ex-NLC president suggests 100,000 naira minimum wage. So we also have that one. Nigerian Tribune, minimum wage total shutdown as NLC TUC begins strike. Government secretariats, businesses, hospitals, airports, seaport, power supply affected. Part of the riders there as well. Daily Independent, Labour cuts power, shuts courts, airports, ministries, schools. Indigenous airline operators lament loss of over 1 billion naira. Labour leaders chase workers away from offices, duty posts. And then you see this FG Labour reach agreement on minimum wage. So who knows? That's their own big lead. And then you see the Daily Times here. Minimum wage, FG reaches compromise with organized labor amid nationwide strike. Commits to pay national minimum wage above 60,000 naira. Take a look at the Nigerian Observer. NLC, TUC paralyzed economic activities in Lagos, Abuja, Rivers, others, as ASU, Nupeng, 30 others comply. And then New Telegraph, Nigeria in darkness. Airports, others shut down as Labour cripples economic activities. That's what you also see right there on the front pages. This So there you go. Basically, it's about the strike declared by Labour. How businesses are affected. The national grid has also been shut down, as you heard, and even right from yesterday. So the roads, as a matter of fact, are thinning out, and you can imagine in the capital city. So I know that there's several people who just don't want to even wait for the strike. Let me just rest for a bit. They say, but I know it is what it is right now. So there's still a daggers drawn.
It's an unfortunate situation. It didn't have to get here. It did not have to get here. There was ample time for these conversations, which have been happening. The reason why Labour is acting this way, I guess, is because they feel like they've been toyed with. They don't feel like they were taken seriously. And it did not have to get here to where we're grounding activities. I'm seeing, the Nigerian Medical Association has said, look, we sympathize with the situation, but we are not on
They're
strike.
not part of it.
We're not part of the strike. Our doctors are going to be there. Because that was really scary yesterday when we heard the hospital in Kaduna, where they were turning patients back. That is dangerous. You know, we cannot have people dying because negotiations are ongoing. So we're seeing right now that at least the NMA has said, so even in Niger, we saw hospitals closing down as well, but the NMA has said that they will be treating patients. So that is going on, but it didn't have to get to this level. It's a very unfortunate situation. Grounding of all economic activities. There's no power. Everyone who has food, for the wives out there, for the mothers out there, I know you are feeling it right now, and I sympathize with you, because you have to now start to think about what to do with all this food. You scrimp and save and try to get as much food in your house only for this to happen. Now we're having a situation where people are trying to cook up what they can or throw out food. It's very unfortunate. It did not have to get here.
You know, as a matter of fact, speaking of today, part of what we've also seen happening is that persons with disabilities say they are going to embark on a peaceful protest today at the Unity Fountain in Abuja. They say they are protesting against the strike declared by Labour. So that's one of the highlights of what you will expect today in the city.
Of course, that's something that is an interesting story that we have happening today, you know, this peaceful protest by people living with disabilities. It's a very strange balance. What do you make of this? On the one hand, it does feel like the citizens are being punished, you know, because the people with disabilities will be worse hit right now, of course. So if they have to deal with that situation, but at the same time we sympathize with Labour because we know that the minimum wage just cannot be what it is. Yeah. So it's a very dicey line. What do you think?
Well, it's going to be very interesting. These are part of the things we hope to get the mindset of Labour from one of our guests who will join us much later today. But you also have something going on in business.
Oh, yeah, we have some business going on. Investors are holding back as the industrial action weighs. And of course, this is expected. It's one of the fallouts of this sort of industrial action is that it will make investors shy. So we have that happening today as well. Investors hold back as industrial action weighs, you know, so the fear of what will happen to my money, the fear of should I put in money right now if things look a little shaky. These are some of the fallouts of industrial actions like this. And industrial actions are necessary, you know, because I think people need to understand that it is necessary for these unions to be able to ask for one thing or the other. It's very important. But at the same time, the government has to be sensitive to the sufferings that come out from the fallout of these negotiations.
And then speaking of which, today in the National Assembly, the workers there try to gain access to the offices to see if they could conduct businesses. But this morning, as you take a look at some of these images coming through now, so they were locked out of the offices. They can't access it. As a matter of fact, you will also get to see that the clerk, so that's the barricade that is there. So the protesting workers blocked the entrance of the National Assembly. That's through the villa. They're denying workers access. The union says they will only allow legislators and security men to gain entry into the complex. So as we speak, yep, that's what you see right now. That is the current situation at the moment. At some point, the clerk was in one of those vehicles. He tried to gain access, but met a wall initially, but much later, he was allowed to go in. So it's never softening the stance now. He's a worker, so if what's good for him, is it going to be good for all the other workers in NAS? We're keeping our eyes there to see what happens. But they say they will allow legislators in. So those are some of the issues that we will check with. But don't go away, because yesterday as well, that meeting that held between the federal government and Labour, the tripartite committee, there were some documents also with some signatures on them. So we'll come back and have a look at all of those and talk through that, trying to understand the mindset of Labour, such that perhaps you could get a lot more insight into what's going on, why what is going on is happening, and perhaps what to expect. So you never know. Don't go away. We will be right back.